today's video, we're going to talk about different kinds of LED lights and really stack them against each other and find out which one is best for your usage. Hey guys, my name is John Sparkman, photographer in the UK in Birmingham, and although on my channel I talk about flash modifiers and kind of manual triggering flash units and studio lights and things like that, I do have 4 LED units and they do all have specific uses, and I really want to compare them today head to head, find out which one's the best for kind of which user, which one has better abilities over another one, kind of rank them on a starred scale. So first off, I'm going to start with the Godox SL60W, aka the light I use all the time in the studio. And before I start, if you do wish to support the channel, we have affiliated links down in the description below for all of the units I'm reviewing today. I picked up the Godox SL60W off Amazon a few years ago, and it is a continuous daylight balanced, very powerful studio LED light. It was about £125 and it resembles kind of those studio flashes that you may have seen in kind of photography studios. Very big, bulky units which always require mains power. Now the reason why I picked one up is actually twofold. We have the first, which is the power output. This light on full power can put out an amazing 4,100 lumens of power at a 1 meter distance, which is incredible. It's enough to let me use really good kind of settings on my camera to get really good detail, really good resolution. I don't need to start bumping up things like ISO. The second reason is that it accepts Bowens mounted modifiers, so I can fit things like this 30-inch softbox with a grid, and I can also put things on like strip boxes and umbrellas and beauty dishes, anything which I've used in the past for my photography, and it will give me that flexibility, and it might give me the kind of the image output and the kind of the quality of light that I'm very used to. Now it is mains powered only, so unfortunately we can't take it out and kind of just use batteries. However, I know there are versions of this which do have big old batteries on the back. It has a remote, which means I can electronically change the power output, the dimming of this, without having to go to the back of the unit and change it with the dial. And it also has an integrated mounting kind of base, so I can just pop it on one of my heavy duty stands. For this Godox, I'm going to give it points for the mounting option with the Bowens, I'm going to give it points for the power output, and I'm going to give it points for having the remote and the digital dimming option instead of an analog kind of twist it and find out. Next on the list is the Glowpad 350D. This is from Pixapro. It's very thin. It's only kind of an inch or so thin, and it can be run on either 2 big old batteries or mains power. Now all of the LEDs from here on out are going to be ones which can work with batteries, so I'm just going to quickly touch on them. They all take the same battery type. This is the Sony MPF battery type, and they come in kind of small regular little ones which are 2300 milliamps, or real big chunky ones which are 8800 milliamps. So you can use small or big, and you can power any of these with the same kind of very inexpensive batteries. The Glowpad requires 2, and you can see they just kind of stick out the back like this. It kind of makes the profile a little bit bigger, or alternatively you can use the provided power adapter. Now this Glowpad comes in at £135. It's what I classify as a slim softbox style. It weighs about 1100 grams, so it's a bit lighter than the Studio SL60W. Now I do have a little bit of beef with this mounting point. It kind of sticks out just a bit too much, and it'd be nice if I could cut that off, because this fits inside a 15-inch laptop kind of pouch perfectly, and I mean perfect. If this wasn't here, this would just fit in kind of any kind of camera case or even your backpack, and it'd be absolutely fine if they just pulled that bit off. Now the output on this is a lot less. For lumens, we're looking at 920 lumens at 1 meter range, so it's about 4 times or so dimmer than the Godox. It doesn't have a remote, and it's not an electronically dimming option. It uses dials on the back, but it does have a bicolor option, so the panel can switch between using white LEDs, kind of yellowish LEDs, so you can have either 3200, which is kind of tungsten light bulb style color, or you can have that daylight balance, or a mix between, kind of fades between the two. This can be really handy if you're out on a kind of a shoot and you're looking for kind of a more natural light source which kind of blends in with your surroundings. Because of the way this is engineered, we have LED strips around the edge firing in towards this kind of glass acrylic panel, and the light comes out through this kind of perforated sheet just behind the glass. This gives the illusion of many very small points of light very close together in a very big light source. So it gives that soft effect. You can't really distinguish kind of individual LEDs. It's already diffused, which is great. This kind of light isn't really recommended if you are using it as a fill, kind of really far away or to illuminate an entire room, but this is perfect for those people who want a nice compact LED for maybe YouTube. Maybe you don't have the modifiers and you just want a simple get up and go system that's easy to transport and can run on batteries, which is actually brilliant. So I'm going to give this plus points for the battery, the bicolor option, the fact that it's got a locking mounting point on the bottom, and it can also take mains. So this one gets 4 stars. After all of that, we now go on to my very first LED light that I ever purchased, which is still going after all these years. This is the Neewer CN160 LED panel. It's cheap, it comes in at £27, and this is what I classify as the small LED lights. It also weighs nothing, it's 240 grams, it's just plastic. Most of the weight is actually going to be from the battery when you put it in. Now, this kind of light is more of an on-camera light. It's one you'd have just above your camera just to illuminate, kind of got that Blair Witch style or that kind of skateboardy vibe or interview vibe. This is just to provide a little bit of fill light. Because of the size of this, because it's very small, you would not try and do kind of portrait lighting with this. It's not going to give flattering light. It's going to look like you're being lit by like a mobile phone. It's also not particularly powerful, comes in at about 900 lumens at 1 meter. So it's about the same power outage as the Glowpad, but the Glowpad has that advantage of being soft and flattering and thin. So of course it takes these Sony MPF batteries. It also actually takes a load of AA batteries. I think you'd have to put in maybe 6. It's got a little test light on it, and it's also got a analog kind of dimming dial on the side, so you can just brighten or darken it to kind of as much as you need. Now on the front there is this diffused orange kind of acrylic, and this will change the daylight balance from this into that tungsten. So we are kind of like a bicolor light. It can go from white to orange, but it can't do it gradually. And whenever you put anything in front of your LEDs, it's going to get darker. So I don't think that this is going to be still 900 lumens at full power with the orange gel on the front, but the option still is there, which is nice. This light does have a locking kind of mounting option, and it has this kind of plasticky little adapter on the bottom, but as you can tell, I can move. This is fully tightened. You can't tighten anymore, and you can just move it just with a little bit of finger. Plus points is that you can mount it either on top of a stand with just a spigot point here, or with a locking cold shoe, so you can stick it right on top of your camera. But yeah, not too many plus points on this. So you're going to get the plus points for the Sony battery, and you're going to get the plus points for the bicolor, but that's about it. 2 stars. Now we're on to the last LED light that I bought, and this is kind of a rarity. This is something I wouldn't normally buy. Can't remember the reason why I bought it. However, it has actually proved itself quite handy. This is the Yongnuo YN360, kind of the lightsaber, the little lightsaber one. It's a very thin light. It's what I would class as the stick light. This one retails about £78 and comes in at 490 grams, so it's very light as well. Now this thing is kind of the jack of all trades. This can accept Sony batteries, it can accept a mains power adapter, and it can be controlled in multiple different ways. Firstly, we have this thin strip here, which is kind of translucent plastic. It's got the white and the tungsten balanced LEDs behind there. We also then on the back have this CTO adapter, which we can just clip on the front, and that's going to make those white LEDs go kind of down to the 3200 Kelvin range, so you can match, you know, tungsten light bulbs. I found that a bit strange, the fact that it's got a CTO gel on it, but it also has the ability to use kind of CTO LEDs inside it as well. You wouldn't really use both together. Then it also has some very high-powered RGB lights on the inside. These will give you all the colours in the RGB parade, so you've got your reds, greens, blues, purples. Now the listed lumen output is 2560, so it's actually surprisingly bright. It's the second most powerful LED that I have. And it also has a digital dimming, which means that I can predictably change the power output to something set if I need to repeat the issues again. Now, instead of having a remote for this one, it uses an app on your phone. And on the app you can choose the RGB colour, you can set it, you can set power, you can do that all remotely without having to carry any extra equipment. So plus points for those ones as well. Now the only issue I have with it is it has a fixed mounting point. Just down the bottom it has just a kind of a spigot mount here, so you would need to have a kind of an angling head or kind of a ball mount or something to be able to position this how you need to, unless you just want to have it kind of upright all the time. Now for all of the advantages that this thing has, the disadvantage is its shape. This isn't particularly great for kind of studio work, like, you know, lighting me with a big light source. It's not particularly good as an on the field, anything to do with kind of portrait lighting, because it's too thin. It's not going to give that even illumination. But what this is good for is kind of hiding behind things, where you can like tuck it behind somewhere, give it a nice RGB colour, or doing some kind of long exposure light painting. So you have a frozen subject and you can wave this around behind them and kind of get a, you know, an illuminating kind of backlight going on there. I would have liked to see this have a mounting point in the middle as well, just so I could kind of mount it just like this instead of mounting on the very end where the centre of gravity is a bit different. But for the price point, it's very good. It's kind of similar to the Westcott ice lights, maybe slightly different in power output and usage. The ice lights are kind of more designed for specifically portraits and weddings with their domed frosted exterior and barn doors. So I'm going to give the Yongnuo YN360 plus points for the battery option and the mains option, the fact you can control it with an app, the output rating, the 2560 lumens at 1 meter, bicolor option, and the digital dimming. So it racks up 6 stars, which is the exact same as the Godox has. If you are a studio photographer and you need a powerful LED light to supplement your flash in the studio, or maybe you've got a YouTube studio and you can have that kind of space to have a big powerful light, the Godox SL-60W is going to be perfect for yourself. If you are a working event or portrait or wedding photographer, the Glowpad is probably going to be your best bet, with the ability to have batteries or mains, to have bicolor and an already flattering light, which is very slim to fit in your bag. Although you make sacrifices with the power output, the quality of light you get from it is going to be great. The Neewer 160 I would maybe add as a supplemental light. Maybe you just want to pop it on a shelf just to illuminate something, or you just want to have maybe a hair light, which would be absolutely fine. Or maybe if you're like a skateboard videographer, or want to do something at night and have that kind of 90s style on-camera lighting. And lastly, the Yongnuo YN360, more of a special effects kind of light. So you'd use that for the light painting, you'd use that for the flexibility of the color arrangement on it, and its compact size. It's nice powerful output, but I wouldn't be lighting kind of interview pieces with it. I would just be using it as a kind of an LED strip behind something. That is it from today. I hope you found this video somewhat handy. If you do use any of these lights, or we can suggest maybe a better version. Some of these lights are pretty old already, but I don't replace them until they literally explode or stop working. So I'll be keeping these for the long term. If you use anything different, just let me know. As always, stick around and subscribe. Love to see you in a future video. Thanks for watching.